What if I told you that the wealthiest people don't just work harder or longer than everyone else? They think differently about how to use their time. One of the most consistent habits among those who quietly build and maintain wealth is something rarely discussed in mainstream conversations about success. It's called the 5-hour rule, a simple yet powerful practice that sets them apart. Once you understand how it works and why it matters, you'll start to see why the wealthy always seem one step ahead, not just in their finances, but in their decision-making, adaptability, and long-term vision. Ask anyone who's achieved financial stability, and they'll tell you that money alone doesn't keep them ahead. It's their ability to stay informed, make sound decisions, and spot opportunities that others overlook. Many assume this comes purely from experience, and while experience plays a role, it's not the full story. What truly separates those who build lasting wealth from those who don't is a habit that happens behind closed doors, away from the spotlight. It's what they do when no one is watching, and it's far more intentional than most people realize. The 5-hour rule is deceptively simple. Dedicate 1 hour each weekday to deliberate learning. That's 5 hours a week, focused not on scrolling through social media, catching up on news, or consuming entertainment, but on acquiring knowledge that sharpens your mind and expands your understanding. It might sound like a small commitment, but over a year, those 5 hours a week add up to 260 hours of intentional growth. Over a decade, that's 2,600 hours of progress, an investment that compounds quietly but powerfully, giving the wealthy a significant edge over time. Most people stop learning in a structured way after formal education ends or once they settle into a career. They get caught up in daily routines, tackling tasks, staying busy, and managing life's demands. But in doing so, they often stop growing in the areas that matter most. Without realizing it, they start to fall behind. The world moves fast, industries evolve, markets shift, technologies advance, and those who don't keep up risk missing subtle changes that could make or break their success. They rely on outdated knowledge or habits, assuming what worked yesterday will work tomorrow. The wealthy don't make this mistake. Even after achieving success, they commit to learning every week, not to earn degrees or impress others, but because they understand that knowledge is a tool for staying adaptable and avoiding costly errors. They read books that challenge their perspectives, dive into subjects they don't yet fully grasp, and revisit topics they thought they mastered. They stay curious about what's changing in their industry, the economy, or the world at large. They take notes, reflect, and apply what they learn, not in a rushed or flashy way, but consistently, week after week. This habit isn't about speed or immediate results. It's about staying prepared. Most people react to change after it's already happened, scrambling to catch up. The wealthy, however, anticipate change and position themselves to act when opportunities arise. This preparation doesn't always look dramatic. It might be as simple as reading a book on a new topic, taking an online course, or spending a quiet morning reflecting on how to improve their business or investments. These small, consistent actions don't make headlines, but they create a foundation that compounds over time. The 5-hour rule isn't about becoming an expert in every field. It's about staying sharp and versatile. If you run a business, success requires more than just knowing your product. You need to understand human behavior, marketing trends, financial strategies, and negotiation tactics. If you're an investor, you need to grasp risk management, market timing, and long-term planning. The only way to navigate uncertainty with confidence is to invest in your own knowledge consistently. Consider the alternative. Many financial mistakes stem from acting on impulse, following the crowd, or failing to see the bigger picture. But those who practice the 5-hour rule are less likely to fall into these traps. They ask better questions, see patterns others miss, and make decisions grounded in a broader understanding. Even when they make mistakes, they recover faster because their learning habit equips them with the tools to adapt and course correct. Wealthy individuals value this practice because they know how expensive bad decisions can be. A single poor investment, a missed opportunity, or a failure to adapt to a changing market can set you back years. Regular learning helps mitigate these risks. It doesn't eliminate them. No one is immune to setbacks, but it provides clarity and perspective, which translate into better choices over time. That clarity shows up in how they manage their finances, lead their businesses, and plan for the future. The 5-hour rule doesn't just improve your knowledge, it reshapes your habits and mindset. When you dedicate time to learning, you naturally become more focused and intentional. You start to think more strategically, prioritizing long-term goals over short-term distractions. You become less reactive, less swayed by emotions, or external noise. This shift spills over into other areas of life, from how you manage your time to how you handle your money. For example, learning regularly helps you make fewer impulsive financial decisions. Instead of chasing trends or copying what others are doing, you rely on your own understanding. You start to notice what's working and what isn't, allowing you to refine your strategies. You become more selective with your time, focusing on activities that align with your goals. Over time, these small changes create a ripple effect, improving not just your wealth, but your overall quality of life. This habit also makes you more valuable, whether you're an employee, entrepreneur, or investor. The more you learn, the more you can contribute. In a job, you become the person who brings fresh ideas and solves problems creatively. In a business, you lead with greater confidence and insight. In investing, you make choices with a clearer sense of risk and reward. Others notice this value, even if you don't advertise it, and it opens doors to new opportunities. One common objection to the 5-hour rule is that it requires too much time. People say they're too busy with work, family, or other responsibilities to carve out an hour a day for learning. But the truth is, it's not about having extra time. It's about using the time you already have differently. Most people spend hours each week on low-value activities, scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows, or getting lost in news cycles. Replacing even a fraction of that time with focused learning can make a significant difference. The beauty of the 5-hour rule is its flexibility. It doesn't require a rigid schedule or a complete overhaul of your life. You might wake up an hour earlier to read, listen to an educational podcast during your commute, take notes during lunch, or reflect on your day before bed. The key is to make learning a regular part of your week, not a sporadic activity you squeeze in when you feel inspired. Consistency, not intensity, is what drives results. For those who feel overwhelmed, starting small can help. Begin with 1 hour a week, then gradually build up. Choose topics that are directly relevant to your goals. A book on financial planning, a course on leadership, or an article about industry trends. Over time, this habit becomes second nature, like brushing your teeth or exercising. It's not about finding time. It's about making learning a priority. If the 5-hour rule sounds daunting, start small. Pick one topic that aligns with your goals, whether it's personal finance, leadership, technology, or health. And dedicate an hour this week to learning about it. Read a chapter, watch a tutorial, or listen to a podcast. Take notes and think about how you can apply what you've learned. Then do it again next week. Over time, these small steps will build momentum. You don't need to overhaul your life or become a scholar. The goal is progress, not perfection. Choose resources that are practical and engaging. Books, articles, courses, or even conversations with knowledgeable people. Reflect on what you learn and experiment with applying it in your work, investments, or daily decisions. The key is to keep going, even when the results aren't immediate. So, take the first step. Set aside 1 hour this week to learn something meaningful, then do it again and again. Those quiet hours will shape your thinking, your decisions, and ultimately, your future. The wealthy know this. That's why they've made it a habit, and it's a habit anyone can adopt.